It's time for fun facts from an ice bath. So I've been getting lots of comments from you guys saying that you're wanting fun facts about an actual ice bath or intentional cold exposure. So I just want to start off saying I'm not a doctor. Before you're starting this, if you're interested in it, you should definitely check with your doctor because it does cause vasoconstriction, which is the actual constriction of blood vessels, which would be a terrible thing if you had high blood pressure or heart problems, high cholesterol. So check with your doctor first, and if you start slow. Now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna go over my favorite reasons for why I do this. It's probably gonna be a multi-part series because there's no way I'm fitting all this science into one episode. So getting into the cold water, or intentional cold exposure in general, increases your cold tolerance. I was always really uncomfortable in the winter and just cold and wanted to stay warm. And this year that's changed for me because I started practicing with cold showers back in September, so I wouldn't be horribly uncomfortable all winter. And now I'm pretty comfy all winter. I don't really wear coats except for immediately after this I wear a coat, but like in general when I go outside, even if it's snowing, I tend to not wear a coat because I'm not as cold as I used to be. So getting in here creates a norepinephrine release, which causes mitochondrial genesis. So that just means that it makes more mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. And so when you have more mitochondria, it starts taking your white fat, which stores energy and produces adiponectin, which is a really good thing, but if you have too much white fat, it's not a good thing, but that's another subject. It starts turning your white fat, converting it into brown fat, because having more mitochondria creates brown adipose tissue. So brown fat actually breaks down your blood sugar or your glucose, and it creates heat with it. It also increases your metabolism. And so with that brown fat that creates heat, you stay warmer. We're born with a lot of brown fat as babies, and even kids have brown fat. That's why adults sometimes are like, oh my gosh, wear a jacket, because they're playing outside in the cold, and they're like, it's not even cold, and the adults are just like, what's going on? It is cold. Yeah, that's because they have more brown fat than most adults. Now, adults start losing their brown fat during puberty. It starts just turning into white fat, and so we have less tolerance to cold. It was previously believed that we could not get that brown fat back. But through lots of scientific studies, including ones with Wim Hof, scientists found that we can develop the brown fat back from intentional cold exposure, or cold exposure in general, such as ice baths. It's cold. More in part 2. I'll have more reasons in part 2. It's time for fun facts from an ice bath. I don't know if you can see it, but it's low-key snowing, and it's starting to stick. Welcome to part 2 of benefits of an actual ice bath or intentional cold exposure. There's more in the first part about this, but I'm not a doctor. Make sure if you're interested in this, you do check with a doctor because there are things and conditions that you can have that would make this dangerous or fatal. So check with a doctor first if you're interested in doing this. My reason number 2 why I like to do this is because the increase in immune function. Getting in cold water like this actually causes your lymphatic system to contract, which forces the fluids through your lymph nodes. You might be familiar with the lymph nodes in your neck that get swollen when you're sick sometimes. You actually have approximately 800 of those in your body that are connected with lymph vessels in a whole lymphatic system. Lymph fluid is like a whitish, clearish fluid that's full of white blood cells that runs all through your lymphatic system, which is a part of the immune system. Your lymphatic system basically acts as a drainage system that removes metabolic waste cold, and transports antigen-presenting cells to the lymph nodes in your body to help fight off infections and bacteria. Basically, your lymph nodes act as giant filters that trap bacteria and viruses and different pathogens like that in there with the lymph fluids full of white blood cells, and your body fights off those infections in your lymph nodes all over your body, keeping those pathogens from spreading and infecting other parts of your body, keeping you from getting sick. You may have heard of lymphatic massage or dry brushing. Those are things that people do to get their lymph fluid moving. This also works for that. And my last favorite reason why I do this is because of the increase in circulation that's caused from it. Cold exposure, or ice baths, creates vasoconstriction, which is the constriction of your blood vessels. When this happens, all of your blood goes rushing from your skin and your extremities, and it all goes to your core to protect your vital organs. When that happens, it also boosts your cardiac output. I used to be someone where, like, even in the summer, for no apparent reason, my circulation was so bad that my hands and my feet would just be freezing all the time. After day 10 of doing this in a row, I really haven't had that happen anymore. My hands and feet aren't just randomly cold unless there's, like, a good reason, like I was just playing in the snow barefoot. So yeah, those are my reasons. Make sure if you didn't check out part 1 to go check out part 1.